It is I, the Chompy Mage, and we invited Andrew out to our studio at Toys for Bob to learn the secrets of Trap Team. But he is not a Chompy, so I don't like him, and I'm not going to tell him anything. Me neither.
My name is Jeff Poffenbarger, and I'm the executive producer at Toys for Bob.
Let's talk a little bit about Toys for Bob first of all. Tell us about the history, how long it's been going, and how you got involved.
Toys for Bob has been around for 25 years. It was started between Paul Ritchie and Fred Ford. They founded it together. They had worked together before and decided to go off and start their own studio. So they started this and worked for a number of publishers until they actually hooked up with Activision and started working with Activision. They've been around for a while. The video game history of video games is 30, 35 years old, and they've been around for pretty much all of that. The partnership there formed. They brought people into the studio. I got involved about 5 years ago. I've been with Activision since 1998 and had worked on the publishing side and then went over to a developer, Raven Software, and then actually moved here. So I got here 2010, so 4 years ago.
So what's your role within the studio?
I am the executive producer, so I'm primarily in charge of setting goals and the schedule for the team and working with everybody and making sure that we hit our deadlines.
So tell us a little bit about Trap Team.
Skylanders Trap Team. Really, what it is we kind of focused on, after finishing Skylanders Giants and Vicarious Vision was working on Swap Force. For us, we focused on the innovation. What we were looking at when we started working on it was we asked ourselves, how can we take toys to life? We invented the toys to life genre. How do we reverse the magic? So we came up with the idea for Skylanders Trap Team. So not only in Skylanders, you bring toys to life by placing a toy on the portal, but now using our Traptanium traps, you can actually pull toys out of the virtual world into the real world, which is bringing life to toys.
And how do you guys come up with the new characters each year?
Oh, geez, that is it's a pretty collaborative process. Iway and Paul work together to come up with some character designs, and then they work with the character designers to really nail down the personalities of the characters. And with the writer, with Alex Ness, he writes to actually get the personalities right and get the look right and get all their abilities right. So it's a pretty large collaborative process, but it starts with the concepts.
And how long does that sort of process take?
How long does that process take? It could take anywhere from, just the conceptually coming up with them can take a couple of days. It could take a couple of weeks. It could take a month. Sometimes the concepts when they first come out are like really close to being finalized. And then sometimes they just take a lot of time to work through and get, to work with different people and get a lot of feedback. So it takes a little bit longer on some.
And in terms of the development process for a game like Skylanders Trap Team, when did you guys start working on it, and how did that work?
We started working on it after Skylanders Giants, shortly thereafter. When you start early on a project, it's you start on a conceptual level. You start by prototyping, you start by iterating. Not the entire team is necessarily working on it. You're trying to hone in on that one idea and to really focus on what you want to do and what you want that new feature to be. And for us, we chose pretty early on that we wanted to find a way to bring life to toys. How do we do that? We experimented with a lot of different visual elements. We finally landed on sound. So that was a large iterative process that we started on after Giants. And it took a little bit of time before you get the whole team involved and everybody fully into the development process.
Let's talk about the new portal and how it works with the traps.
So, one thing about the innovation is that it requires a portal that actually has a speaker. And we actually, this year, are calling it the Traptanium portal. We changed the way it looks completely, obviously added a speaker to it. And the way it works is when you're playing through the game, you'll come across a villain that you need to defeat and then capture. And if you have the correct element of the trap, you can place it into the Traptanium portal. It will capture that villain from the screen and bring them into the real world, for which you can audibly hear them through the Traptanium portal. By removing the trap, you have now removed them from the portal, and to bring them back in, you just simply place them back on the portal.
And what happens if you don't have the correct trap?
If you don't have the correct trap to trap the villain, what you would then do is that villain would be defeated, and then they would be in something we call the Villain Vault, which is right in our hub area, where they will be kind of like a menu system that then you can go in, and if you get that trap, you can then transfer them to that trap.
And how many villains can you store per trap?
There is one villain active per trap, but you can switch in and out as many villains as you want.
And so you've also introduced the tablet edition of the game this year.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it is the full console game experience on the tablet. It's launching day and date with the console version, which is something I don't think it's ever been done before. You get the full experience there. So it is the absolute full game. It actually comes with, when you purchase the game at the store, you get a portal that is made specifically for the tablet experience, and in that portal is actually our own controller that you can play with the game, and you can also buy another third-party controller and play two people at the same time. But if you don't want to play with the controller or you don't have to actually play with the Traptanium portal at the same time. You can have an off-portal experience where you have two on-the-go characters, and you'll have on-screen controls as well. So it can be played on the go, or it can actually be played just sitting, at home in one space with the portal.
And obviously this is portable, so parents can have it for the kids in the car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they need to take all of the toys with them?
No, there is an on-the-go experience where there will be two characters. There will be Food Fight and Snapshot are two characters that when you take it away from the portal, you can actually play as them, and they are full-featured, fully upgradable characters that you can then play on the go.
And how many new Skylanders are you introducing this year?
There are more than 50 new Skylanders actually releasing with Skylanders Trap Team.
Excellent. And will the previous Skylanders be playable?
Every previous Skylander is playable in Skylanders Trap Team. They're all supported. We're huge into supporting people's collections. We understand how big hit they've gotten over the years, and we certainly want to make sure that people's collections are still very meaningful.
Okay. And what are trinkets, and how do they work?
In Skylanders Trap Team, we have hats in which you can customize your Skylanders, but we've also added trinkets. And trinkets are just kind of cool little knickknacks that you can add to your Skylanders for a further layer of customization.
Okay. And why should people pick up Skylanders Trap Team?
Well, it's all about the fun, right? Skylanders Trap Team is about fun. It's about all the cool different characters. It's about supporting all the old characters. It's certainly an experience, and we make the experience so that kids can play it, but also play with their families. It's about the toys and about the characters and about having a good time. And I think that for us, we feel like this is the best game we've made, and we're really proud of it.
When you create a new Skylander, what do you look for in making a great Skylander? What is a great Skylander?
A great Skylander is heroic, but at the same time, kind of use the word approachable, but they have like an element of maybe cuteness or a likability element. So, we'll take that the heroic element, because we want them to be heroic because they're heroes, they're Skylanders. But at the same time, we don't want them to be too hard around the edges.
Who is Bob?
Oh, that's a question for Paul.
Who's your favourite Skylander and why?
Here's the thing. I've been asked this question a lot over the years, and it used to be pretty easy for me to answer, but it's always changing. Especially on this game, playing through every character towards the end, I certainly had my favorites. Food Fight, who actually comes in the starter pack, is one of my favorites because of the personality and because of some of the fun things they say, but also some of the villains. Chef Pepperjack would probably be one of my favorite characters. Yeah. So Broccoli Guy would be my favorite. I'm like sitting here going, who would be my favorite Skylander and who's not?
Exclusive.
It's just hard because there's hundreds of Skylander characters and hard to pick one favorite. But if I go with who I really gravitate towards now, it'd be Food Fight, and then villain, it would be Broccoli Guy, who I very much should suggest anyone that plays the game collects him, traps him, and plays as him, and just listens to the VO.
What's your proudest achievement?
The proudest achievement for me is being part of such a great studio that has put out these Skylander titles. That takes a lot of work. It's a lot of passion. It's a lot of hard work. But at the end of the day, it feels really good to do that and to get the feedback from the community and understanding how much it's affected kids' lives and even adults' lives and families' lives. I think that would probably be my proudest achievement.
And obviously, when you're developing the game, you don't have the toys on day one to play with because obviously they'll come later. So how does that-
Sometimes we get them.
Oh.
But I don't know. This would be giving. I think I'd be giving away a little bit of the magic if I explain that. So when we play with the toys. We get them a little earlier in prototype stages.
Okay. And how does that work, or do you not want to share the magic?
I'm not going to share the magic. You can ask Paul.
So what's been the biggest challenge in creating Skylanders Trap Team?
I'd say the biggest challenge is focusing in on the actual the feature of capturing villains and making sure that we're really delivering on that. Like just finding what that magic was and really nailing that. We went through a lot of different iterations and a lot of different technologies until we stumbled upon the one that we felt delivered it the best way, and that is with the Traptanium portal.
And what's been the feedback from people who've seen and heard about Skylanders Trap Team?
The feedback that I've been hearing about is really great. People really enjoy the personalities of the new Skylanders, the toys, and the villains when they actually see it working in game. The feedback's been really great, really encouraging and positive.
Tell us a little bit about the studio building itself. I mean, we've had a wander around today. You've got two quite distinct look and feels to the studio. Tell us about them and tell us why.
Yeah. So on the side that we're actually sitting in right now is what we call the Tiki side, and this is courtesy of our art director Terry Falls, who has a very kind of tiki tropical vibe to him. And he came up with this. And then on the other side is the pirate side. I don't know the genesis for that theme, but it's still really cool. We've had a lot of pirate levels in our Skylander games that are some of my favorite levels. But so I don't know, it kind of creates a really unique work environment and a really kind of loose, fun environment to work in. So I really enjoy them.
When you create like limited edition characters, how do you go about deciding what's going to be limited and how many you're going to do?
Do you mean like treasure hunt characters?
Yeah, and the dark characters and that sort of thing.
We usually work with Activision to identify which characters we want to actually give that treatment to, and then it's a collaborative process, and then we agree, and then we move forward with it.
Excellent. So what's next for you guys? The game's obviously almost finished and it's out next month. What's next for the studio?
Vacations, some well-earned time off.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Hi, this is the Chompy Mage. Thanks for watching, and why not subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking on the link on the screen? I don't know what any of that means, but hopefully it made sense to somebody out there. Chompy Mage out!